Assalamu alaikum, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this video. I hope that you all are doing great. So the reason why I'm making this video today is to actually discuss about my IELTS score bands. So yesterday, not yesterday, probably on 14th of March 2026, I appeared in my IELTS exam. So this video is not scripted at all. Whatever is coming from me, it's coming from my actual experience. So the reason why I'm making this video is just to tell you that how I received the bands, or how did I achieve the bands, the one I did. So I got 7.5 bands in total overall. And if I tell you individually, so in speaking, I got 8.5. In listening, I got 8. In writing, I got 7, and in reading, I got 6 bands. So I'm going to tell you a breakdown of all the parts, that how was my experience in the exam and what actually happens in the exam, and I'm like what you should prepare. I'm not going to go too deep into these all details. Maybe I'm going to make another video for that, but I believe that it's really important for IELTS test takers to actually know that what did I do in order to prepare myself for 7.5 bands. However, I was not anticipating that band because, I'm kind of a student who is always, let's say, skeptical whenever I prepare for exams. It's a good thing to have good hopes, high hopes, right? But it works the other way around for me. So now I would first start with my speaking part. I'm just going to go from high score to low score, right? So let's talk about speaking parts. I'm going to tell you exactly the questions they asked me in part 1, part 2, and part 3, because they're most of the things that I remember so far. So, the way it happens now is that, so it's like an online, it's like online video conversation you're having with the other person. You sit in the room and let's say, they give you headphones, you have to show your ID, and then the test starts, the test begins, right? So, now, the first questions are very basic questions. Let's say, what is your name? Where are you from? Where do you live? Are you a student or do you work? And then she asked me about my mornings, whether I'm a morning person or I'm not a morning person. Well, thank God, that topic was very relevant to me. But I believe, a person who can speak fluently with other people, and if you can know how to make sentences or how to make a story, or how would you answer to some responses, like a conversation as if you're having with your friends or family, or maybe your peers, maybe your students, or whatever in walk of life you are. So it's darn easy for you, right? Okay, so the first questions were the ones that I just told you right now. And then the topic kind of shifted. Even in the part 1, the topic kind of shifted towards asking me that how was I'm like, am I a morning person or not? What do I do in the mornings? What do I do in the mornings and the weekdays? How are my mornings on the weekends? What leisure do I enjoy in my free time? These were all the questions in part 1. And to be honest, I of course I cannot remember how many questions they asked me in part 1, but they're probably, I don't remember, but probably they were above 5 or above 4 questions. As compared to what we study in the material of IELTS, especially those IELTS Cambridge books, the one with the purple or bluish color. So they were at least more than 4 questions from what I can remember, probably, or maybe 4. No, it was more than 3 or 4 questions that I remember very clearly. Okay. Oh, sorry. Moving further to the part 2. So in part 2, I was lucky enough that I got the question that tell me about a movie or a film that you have watched or something like that. And the follow-up questions were what the movie was, when did you watch the movie, how did it influence you, how did you feel after watching that movie, or how did it help you, something like that, very basic things, right? So when I was making the notes, when I was literally like taking that 1 minute, those 60 seconds to write my notes, so they always give you a paper and a pencil that's right in front of you, okay? I remember this thing that initially I wrote the name of a movie, which is actually my favorite movie, my favorite franchise of all time, the Harry Potter. So when I wrote the Harry Potter, but I took a few seconds, which I kind of wasted those seconds, I believe. I rather would say I wasted those seconds. I immediately removed Harry Potter. Lucky enough that quickly another movie came in my mind, and it is rather a Bollywood movie than a Hollywood movie. Tare Zameen Par. It might sound funny, but I'm gonna tell you why did I went with that movie. Why did I go with that movie? Because when I wrote Harry Potter, I immediately thought that, hey, you know what? I don't think so. I believe I can speak on this movie very easily, but maybe it wouldn't give me enough context to talk about that, or make it relevant to my example or to my life. How would I do that? Of course, it's a fictional movie. Even though Tare Zameen is also a kind of fictional movie, but it's based on a real life issue where actually I had an opportunity to speak more about that particular movie. For instance, I have been teaching for the last 6 years, since 2020. That's how I started my career, and as a freelancer, that's what I do today as well. And then, of course, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I got an opportunity at the City School Jinnah campus as an English teacher. So I kind of, let's say, matched or made that example, that question relevant to my experience. And there were a few stupid things that I said that, for instance, I remember I said in the end of the response, somewhere end of the response, that my mother, however, my mother was not happy that I was watching this movie at a very young age, maybe because I would have taken a wrong impact of that movie, that kids are not studying, kids can make up reasons for not studying because they are suffering through a mental disease or something like that. For instance, like ADHD or dyslexia, or, whatsoever is happening with that age of children in grade 4 or grade 5 whatsoever. So that was an example that came in my mind. I thought that's a stupid example to say, but I don't know, it worked out fine. Alhamdulillah, I got 8.5 overall. So, and also one thing happened, that I believe I spoke more than 2 minutes, and that I didn't stop myself. She had to stop me. And when literally she stopped me, I was really scared at that moment, because I thought, oh my God, did I even answer all the questions, or I did not? So that's exactly what happened in part 2. Well, let me tell you one more thing. In part 2, in the IELTS material, in the official books that we prepare from, so in those books, you always get a main question in part 2 in the cue card, and then there are a couple of follow-up questions with that, right? But what happened in the real test is that after asking me these 4 questions, the main question and the 4 follow-up questions, then she said to me, so Cheyenne, I'm going to ask you a few questions related to this. So she asked me that about education. I don't exactly remember, but she asked me 2 questions, I remember. And with one question, there was a follow-up question, I wouldn't say a rhetorical question, but a follow-up question, like, why do you think so that is? Or something like that, interrogative question, something like that. Right, as if she was interrogating me, something like that. So after that response of 2 minutes, she again asked me 2 more questions whilst remaining, staying in part 2. Yeah. So the part 3 has not started yet. Right. I exactly don't remember what those questions were, but there were questions, okay, after this main entire cue card question. Then what happened? Now let's come to part 3. So part 3, you might think that it must be very easy, simple, the way the questions are given in the preparation material or whatsoever, right? But so the topic was very tricky. Some people might just consider it not that tricky. So of course, the part 3 is relevant to part number 2, since in the part 2 it was about movie, the film that I watched, and in part 3 it was about actors. Yes, about actors. So I thought that the question might be something like, what would you like to say about this actor, or who's your favorite actor? But of course, those are low-level questions, like easy questions that are for part 1, probably not for part 3. Yeah. So a few questions I remember. She asked me that. So why do you think that? So in your opinion, what are the factors that actors get their roles based on their pretty face or their physique, or do these things matter or not? So I'm for a moment I had to think that, oh my God, I'm not prepared for this, right? But then based on my understanding, I gave her some reasons, right? And then she asked me that, do you think it's appropriate to do so, selecting the actors based on the way they look, if they are handsome, beautiful, depending on if it's a male or female actor, and what is your understanding of that? So I told her that, well, you know what, it really depends, and it's up to the casting crew. Now, this vocabulary is very interesting. So, I mean, like, what happened? So let me just tell you the response. My response was something like on this sort of question that, well, ma'am, well, that's a really interesting question. In fact, in my opinion, I believe that it's more it's more of a job of a screenwriter or the director, or I should rather say the writing crew, the casting crew. Casting crew is the main, people who are, I believe, who are responsible. I don't know, it's not the exam for you to judge your knowledge, but it's rather an exam to judge that how you tackle the question, how do you answer it, what kind of fake things or real things that you say up, speak up. So I thought, this is the job of casting crew, the one who are casting people. I mean, this is the right word, because people get casted for this role. That's the right verb actually to use in such situation. So that's what I said to her, and then she kept on literally asking me so many questions. I believe, oh man, it was like more than 2-3 questions. And in the IELTS book itself, the questions are more than that. All right, the questions are actually the questions are very less. There are like 2 questions or 3 questions maybe. However, if you would see in your IELTS book right now, in the speaking part, in part 3, it's actually subdivided into 2 or 3 topics, and in one topic there are 2 questions. That's exactly what's happening in the IELTS part 3 in your official IELTS Cambridge books, the one from 1 to 19 or 18 or whatsoever the number is. So that's exactly what happened in part 2. Now moving towards the listening part. But before that, I need to grab a glass of water. Seriously, I'm like feeling very thirsty. So just a moment. All right, I'm back. So now let's talk about the listening part, where I got 8 bands. So see, everything is all about practice, and you might just listen to this sentence by me again and again this whole video. So I remember I'll be honest with you, of course it depends from student to student, but I'm never going to say that do not practice little, practice a lot. Of course, the more you practice, the more you understand. So whilst I was preparing for this exam, in the listening part especially, my weakest point was in the part 4, in the last 10 questions, where actually a university professor or a lecturer is kind of giving you a lecture on some topic or so, and then you have to infer the answers. So why that was my weak point, maybe for some of you it's your strong point. I mean, like it depends from person to person, right? Not all 5 fingers are equal. So in that particular last 10 questions, or in that last part 4, where you listen to a lecture from a university professor or an academician, something like that, so they don't speak directly the answers as if it happens in part 1, 2, or 3, not even in 3, in part 1 and 2 probably. So in that, what happened that, so the way you have to prepare for that particular part is that you need to, kind of reverse engineer. I'm like, of course, I'm a student of engineering, so I'm just going to use these vocabulary words. So you need to reverse engineer. So if I speak as per the English norms, so you have to paraphrase whatever he's saying. There are a lot of times that he might say that, I cannot exactly give you an example right now, but part 4 is rather trickier than part 1, 2, and 3 as well. Yes, to be honest with you. You do not get the exact answers. They don't speak directly the answers. They don't spell them out, or they don't even, call them out. You have to infer, paraphrase literally, actively, and you have to be laser focused on the things that they are saying. And I know I get this point that time is very precious at that moment, and the clock is ticking. You have to do a lot of things at that moment, because you need to read the questions a little bit beforehand as well. So you need a lot of practice in that part 4 of the speaking exam, also of the listening exam. Yeah. So otherwise part 1, 2 is very easy. So the kind of paraphrasing BS bullshit, I don't know, YouTube, I hope just YouTube is not going to ban this video for you saying the word BS. So this starts in part 3 of this listening exam, where the 2 people are having this conversation on a kind of a university assignment or a project or something like that, depending on what you get in your listening part, whilst the practice as well. But you need to, before attempting those part 3 and part 4 in the practice exam, before the main exam, you have to prepare your brain that I will not get the right answers. I will not get the exact answers. I will have to paraphrase actively whilst listening to these speakers. That's kind of, mindset that you have to keep in part 3 of listening and part 4 of listening. However, part 1 and part 2 listening, very easy, very, very easy. You just need practice and practice in that. So that's kind of a mindset that you have to keep over there. I'm like, these all things that I'm just saying to you, telling you, these are coming from me. They are quite subjective to me. My expertise are in something different. Of course, I'm not a listening expert. I would not call myself a speaking expert as well, but I would say confidently that yes, maybe I can speak better, but I will never call myself expert because there are hundreds and thousands of other experts sitting around the world. So yes, that's something. And then talking about now let's talk about the writing part where I got 7 bands. I was not expecting at all to get 7 bands in the IELTS Writing Academic Task 1 and Academic Task 2. Literally, I was not expecting, because all the practices that I was doing at my home were based on the AI's understanding. Like, for instance, I was using different AI platforms like ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Perplexity as well. I was trying to give them my... I didn't use Claude AI, by the way, but I was giving all of them my responses, and literally in task 1, they were again and again giving me 5.5 or 5 bands. Yes. So, but thanks to my teacher, who actually taught me, yes, I had to go to a teacher as well myself, because, a teacher is a teacher. No matter how good of an English speaker you are, how good your vocabulary is, you need a mentor. You need a teacher. And there's nothing to feel ashamed about that. Is IELTS is something very easy. You don't need a teacher. Everything's available on internet or this and that. Well, of course, that's a fact. Everything is available on internet, no doubt in that. But if you have a good mentor, they mentor you in this entire process. I believe same goes for the CSS aspirants in Pakistan, who are going for this combined competitive examination, or whatever you call it, right? Yes. So even in this situation as well, you need a mentor. So she has taught me really, really good, to be really honest with you. Now, let me talk about task 1. So in task 1, I got a diagram. It was a map. No, not a map, but a diagram. So this diagram was about, there were 2 tunnels in different time periods. They were constructed, one tunnel and another tunnel. So the first tunnel had 2 tunnels for incoming traffic and incoming and outgoing traffic. And I remember that each tunnel had 2 lanes of road. And whereas the one which was built in the latest years, in the advanced years, so in each tunnel there were 3 lanes. So I precisely, so whatever my mentor told me, that the mistakes that I was getting 5.5 and 5 bands again and again with this help, with the, assist by AI. But however, my teacher was giving me 6 bands. She also said that, 5.5 you are somewhere over there. So I recognize something, that it's really important to understand the structure, right? Part 1 is all about report writing. It's all about report writing. It doesn't ask you to give your opinion. And if you give your opinion, you're screwed up. So you should not give your opinion. And it is all about report writing, number 1. Number 2, understand the structure. I will, inshallah, try to make a video on that as well. But I, literally focused on the structure very well. I made an introductory paragraph, 2 lines, probably 2-3 lines. Then I made I don't remember the name of this paragraph. It was a second paragraph, however. So this was an overview. Yeah, it was called overview paragraph number 2. Number 3 and number 4, this was about diagram 1. This was about diagram number 2. And then I made a conclusion sentence as well. So it was like, I made 5 paragraphs. Yes, I made 5 different paragraphs in part 1. Yes, my word count. Now let me tell you the trickiest part over here. My word count literally went above 200 and 250. Literally, it went above 250. And I was scared at that time. I was like, oh my God, I don't know. I'm like, when my word count went above 250 in the task 1, I was like, oh my God, I think I have already screwed up. Because, it says that 150 words minimum, and the maximum you should go should be around 190, 180 or something in that neighborhood. But then at the moment when I saw it went beyond 250, touching 300, I was like, oh my God, I think I have already screwed up, that I shouldn't have done this way, because I was actually passing the word limit of the task 2, which is minimum 250. I was literally passing that as well. So I was like, oh my God, this is the point where I think I have screwed up. Well, that's what happened in task 1. Let's talk about task 2 academic. In task 2, I still remember the question type I got was 2 question response. It was a main question. Okay, this question was about I don't remember what this was. This was about food. That hundreds of thousands, millions of ton food is being wasted all around the world. And then there were 2 questions: how the food is being wasted, and how to solve this problem. So the first question and the second question means first paragraph, second paragraph. In your case, you might give a argumentative essay kind of type. You might get an opinion essay kind of type. So it really depends. Well, I would call myself, lucky enough that I got that particular paragraph. And to be honest, I literally didn't prepare in the last classes with my examiner, to be honest with you. And I'm not a good writer at all. My biggest problem while writing is, so this is also one of the problems that you should understand, because it might just happen with you as well whilst you're, preparing for your IELTS exam for academics, specifically for academics. This entire video is for academics, IELTS academics, not for the journal training. So it might happen with you that maybe you have a habit of, increasing your sentence length. Maybe you do not know how to make it precise, like laser sharp, focused, precise sentences, the way the Public Service Commission or any competitive exam in Pakistan, the way they write, Pressy writing, essay writing. Of course, they are very laser focused, and that's what this is one of very major essay for them to pass those all 12 exams or whatsoever the number of the exams. I don't remember. Never given a government test myself, to be honest. So over there, now let's talk about it. So I made an introductory paragraph. Yes, let me tell you something very important. When it comes that you have 2 questions response, where you have to give 2 topic responses, it's also one type of exam. Sorry, I just got an email. So it's also one type of question type which you get in writing task 2 for IELTS academics. So in that particular type, now let me tell you. So for this particular type, the introductory paragraph has a little bit different pattern. It's not like the other patterns. It is like other patterns, but it is a little bit different pattern, right? Over here, you have to rephrase the question, and then you cannot give your direct opinion, but rather you have to give a topic sentence, something like that. That in this essay, this essay will discuss something like that. This essay will discuss blah 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 blah. You cannot say that I will discuss, we will discuss. I don't know. I avoided using pronouns over there, and I believe it turned out to be good for me. Then in the first paragraph, in the second paragraph, I spoke that how the food is being wasted, what are the different problems because of which the food is being wasted, and how it's being wasted. Then in the second one, I gave solution to the problem, different solutions to that problem, trying to connect it with some real examples, whatsoever, this and that. And then in the final one, I made the conclusion. So introductory paragraph, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and body paragraph 3. And literally, now let's talk about the word count again. I did not exceeded 250. I did not exceeded 350. I literally exceeded 400 words. Yes, I exceeded 380, 390 words. And at that moment, I was like, oh my God, I am screwed up. Maybe my typing speed is fast. Maybe I am really not good at making things precise to the point. Well, I can do that while speaking, but like I said, not all 5 fingers are equal. You cannot have the best of 2 worlds. That's how I can, call it or say to this thing, respond to this thing. Yeah. So that's actually, what happened over there with me. And that's the reason why I got 7 bands. That's the reason why I did not receive 9 bands. So of course I lost 2 bands because of this thing. So that's what happened in the writing task 2. Now let's talk about the reading part, the last one. I told you about speaking, I told you about listening, I told you about writing. Now I'm going to talk about reading, where I got 6 bands. I lost 3 bands over there. So while I was preparing for the reading part, since the beginning, I had a mindset, I had this, very stupid kind of conviction in my brain that, oh my God, whoever used to ask me about the IELTS exam, I always used to say, oh, you know what, reading part is the part where I struggle the most. Reading part is something I struggle the most. But again, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and my mentor, the way she guided me, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And she is the reason, Allah made her the reason why I got even 6 bands as well. However, in the training, while practicing, there was a point I got 7 bands as well. I got 6.5, 7 or 7.5. No, 7.5 I got in the listening. Probably I went till 6.5 bands or 7 bands in the reading while practicing. So, well, the trick that helped me a lot, it worked with me. When I told this thing to one of my friends, he said, no, what are you doing? You're stupid. You shouldn't be doing this way. You should be doing the other way around. I told him that, you know what, man, my mentor has told me this thing is working for me. I will follow this thing because reading is my weakest point. So I did active reading in passage 1. I did active reading in passage 2. And I also did active reading in passage 3. So active reading helped me a lot. How did I do it? I read the entire passage first. I did not went to the questions. I didn't go to the questions. I read the passage first, right? But here's the catch. If you get a question type in either 3 of the passages, so if you get this question type, matching headings. If you get this question type in any of the passages out of these 40 questions, these 3 passages, go paragraph by paragraph. Once you read one paragraph, go to headings. Select which heading works the best. Go to another paragraph, see which heading works the best. Go 3rd paragraph, see which heading works the best, and actively read it, right? Whenever the active reading part comes in any of those 3 passages, go with the matching heading part. Why I'm saying that, there's a reason. Probably I'm going to make another video, a detailed video for that. I don't know if I'm qualified enough to speak about reading part, because of course I needed help as well, and I got 6 bands, which is alhamdulillah, my overall band is 7.5. I don't care about it. But if I had to retake the exam or would have went with the option of 1 skill retake, I would have definitely gone with the reading part. And I believe that inshallah, maybe this time, after some practice, not enormous, but sufficient amount of practice, maybe I can go for that retaking part. But right now my requirements have completed, so therefore I don't need to go for that, right? Well, that was my entire experience for this IELTS exam that just took place literally I'm on 14th of March 2026, and this is what happened. So if you have any questions regarding to how was my experience in the exam center, my exam center was at Army Public School for International Studies here in Hyderabad, Pakistan, Sindh. I booked it through British Council. I didn't go with the IDP. Of course, I had an option to go with that as well, but I just chose British Council for this one, not IDP. And I paid around 72,000 Pakistan rupees for that. And if you want me to, make a video for each part particularly, I can do that for you. Or maybe you have a request to tell you about the experience of the exam center, what happened initially, how did I go there, whom did I met with, what were the documentation I had to go for with, or whatsoever was the experience over there. Or if you want to know about each individual part separately, so please feel free to ask me to make a video for that. I would love to do that. Well, the video has already got very longer. I believe I've just spoke for like 30 minutes non-stop. I believe that most of the information that I gave you was helpful for you. So yeah, just wanted to, give my experience, tell you my experience, that how was my experience in the IELTS for academics. And yep, I got 7.5 thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my parents, my mentor who mentored me. She was amazing. She's an amazing lady, definitely. So yeah, if you want any more information on that, so feel free to ask. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for staying that long. See you in the next one. Until that, good night, good evening, good morning. Assalamu alaikum.